This is Dianne Andrews in Black and White. The issues you don't want to talk about. The arts and entertainment you need to know. And now here's your host, Dianne Andrews.
Welcome to Dianne Andrews in Black and White. I'm your host, Dianne Andrews. Thanks for watching us all over the state, New Orleans, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, and we also come on in Mississippi. We are going into 3 million homes, also on YouTube and Vimeo. So thanks again for watching Dianne Andrews in Black and White. Today, I'm doing a show on heroes. We have so many horrific things that have happened in the southern Louisiana area in the last 2 months. On July 5th, there was the killing of Alton Sterling. And then a couple of weeks later, there were 3 policemen murdered. And then we had the great, I call it the great unnamed flood of 2016. Hurricane Katrina in 2005 was $128 billion, and 1,833 people's lives were lost. Then we came in 12 with Sandy, Hurricane Sandy, and there was $62 billion cost for that hurricane, and 125 people lost. Recently, and from August 10th until some people say 6 days or 7 days, this storm, great unnamed storm, is going to cost $20 billion and still growing. It was a tropical wave. And 13 people were killed. If you look at Dianne Andrews in Black and White, I did a show with the mayor of one of the mayors of Livingston Parish, Mayor Ramsey, but we also had the climatologist there. I'd never heard of it before. He is our state climatologist, which monitors weather changes and storm surges. And we have the largest database in the world of all storm surges. This was called a tropical wave. I've never heard of it before, and most people hadn't. It is a precursor to a hurricane, but it seemed to settle here, and it never left. So in doing this, we talk about how many people's lives were lost. If you saw the show with the mayor, they did talk about the slow response from FEMA. So who saved? What has happened to make there only be 13 lives lost in this storm? I won't tell you it's all of what saved people, but I will tell you a great part of it are these people sitting here today, especially these two. We have the Cajun Navy. People heard of the Cajun Navy first during Katrina, back in 2005. And by someone's great ability, Chris King with me, to co-founder an organization now called the Cajun Army. And then Kip Coltrane, the owner of KCTE, also is a Cajun Special Forces. I mean, I think I'm sitting with the Green Beret over here, you know? These guys I'm sitting with. And then Heather is going to tell you a great story that shows that this storm in Walker was very similar to Katrina. Remember Katrina, everybody thought we're fine, we're out partying in the streets the next day, we're having fun, and then here comes back the water. And I understand the water went down in your area because you all thought you were fine. Yes, you thought you had missed this tropical wave. I'm sure you never heard the real name for it either, right? It's called a tropical wave. And she's going to tell us her hair-raising story of how she got out of her house and where she had to sleep, and we're going to have you talk about that first. But I want to start with you because you were in the Cajun Navy. And tell me exactly what you did and how you started.
So the
one thing.
Go ahead.
All of you all just started, you two, recently. You were not in the Cajun Navy before '05. I mean, before this storm.
No.
Okay.
And ironically, I don't even own a boat.
Right.
So.
Right. You own Next Level Solutions, an IT and accounting company.
And so the Cajun Navy, in the Cajun Navy, if you were on a boat during a rescue, you're considered what they call a Cajun Navy captain. And so I had 2 employees that were.
When you say they consider, who makes these titles?
The Cajun Navy.
Yeah, okay.
The group that formalized during this storm.
Right.
And kind of put some structure and a name and a face to a movement that has a grassroots movement that's been around for a while.
With Sean Boudreau, who we're going to talk
That's
about.
Correct.
We're going to put his picture up here. He's the vice president. They have a board of directors now.
They now have a president, a board of directors.
And she's in Lafayette. He told me the
correct.
president.
Elena Hebert.
Okay.
So anyway, so I was told by this group that we consider you a Cajun Navy captain if you were on a boat during a rescue. So we had 2 employees that were that were stranded in Denham Springs. I live in Prairieville. They had family members with them, elderly, toddlers, dogs, the whole 9 yards. And I had 2 clients from Morgan City that brought up 2 borrowed boats with nothing but one mission in mind, was to go get those people. Now I live in Prairieville.
Didn't they have some rain over that way also in Morgan City?
Yeah, the water didn't come up too high in
Okay.
Morgan City. I think it came up a foot or a foot and a half around the bayous there, is what they told me the other day. But so they brought up 2 borrowed boats. And we didn't really know what we were doing. We didn't know.
You do know how to captain a boat.
Yeah,
you know how to drive a boat, I hope, right?
Well, they did.
Okay,
I do know
all
how to
right.
drive a boat. It's been a long time,
Yeah.
but I was the navigator.
Okay.
I was the guy when we put the boat in the water. They said, "Where are we going?"
Yeah.
And I realized, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I'm supposed
Now,
to be
what
telling
water
them where
did
to go.
you? Where were you when you put it in the water?
So I live in Prairieville,
Right.
and Denham Springs. If you look at a map, is
And
completely.
we're going to have a map of the area up
It's
here.
completely on the other side of the river. And so we looked. There were several put-in spots, but we didn't know if we didn't really know where to put in or where there was high ground and if we could get through or not. So we thought the smartest thing to do was to go up Highway 42 toward Port Vincent. So we ended up putting in around there, and we got out to the Amite. Originally, we had several people tell us we would never make it upriver in a 12-foot bateau with a 20 horsepower motor. And about a 16-foot, I don't know what it's a gator hunting boat. It's a hollow hull, and that was about a 16 or 17-foot boat.
And how many people were in there?
There were 3 of us.
Okay.
And so we we prayed before we left. We said, God, please give us wisdom and protect us. And
Right.
so we had several people tell us when we said we were going to Denham, they laughed at us.
Right.
And so we said, all right, we're not going to try to go upriver. We're going to go downriver with the current to Port Vincent to try to jump over and take the back roads down.
Now, what river is that? That's the
It's
Amite or the
Amite.
Comite?
It's
okay,
the Amite.
that's the Amite.
We got across over to Port Vincent, and the route we were going to take was high and dry. So we thought, and then we got sucked into some current. We didn't know if we were going to make
You have
it
some
home.
video footage of this, don't you?
I
We
do.
may get that and show some of
Yep,
this on the show, too.
so we do have some video footage of that. But anyway, so we ended up saying, all right, let's just get home.
Right.
And we didn't even know if we were going to get back up the river to where we
You're trying
put
to save
in.
your life now.
Now we're trying to save our own
We've
lives.
gone from rescue to desperation to save my life.
That's right. Let
Okay.
me just get back to my family. And so we started making it up the river, and I looked at the guy driving the boat. We were leading, and I said, we're making time. We're actually going upriver. They said we couldn't go upriver, and I kept having, and he was looking at me shaking.
Yeah.
and you know, I said we got to where we were going to get out, and we had only been out for about 2 hours. I said, let's go a little further. If it gets too dangerous, we'll turn around. Well, a little further became a little further and a little further. We ended up, we found the right spot in the map, closest to where we could get in. We went through the woods. We had no idea where we were going. We got into Denham. We got them. 2 elderly, 2 toddlers, 6 adults, 3 dogs.
So
and a
now
pile
we're
of
back to
bags.
rescue mode since we got
We got them,
Yeah.
and we loaded them in those boats.
These were your employees.
These are my employees and family.
Yeah.
Made it all the way back downriver and back to my house. It was an 11-hour, life-changing experience that I still haven't had time to process, quite
How
honestly.
many feet of water was in their house when you got there?
They had, I think, almost 3 feet of water in their house, 2 to 3 feet of water that they had slept in overnight. The toilets were backed up.
Right.
They were sleeping on air mattresses.
This was Friday or Saturday?
This is Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got them back. We got them to the house, and got them safe. And the next day, I got them to a hotel suite that we had reserved for them Saturday. That's when I got back home and I started processing. All right, what's next? And that's when we started the Cajun Army Facebook page. And the original idea was to match resources in the community and people that wanted to help with people that needed help. And
Well, Denham had no resources in the community because 70% of it is underwater.
That's right. And well,
business
and
also.
everybody that knew anybody was
Right.
out helping somebody.
Yes.
And so I as a former youth director and mission trip planner, I knew that there would be people that would want to come.
You do a church ministry, don't you?
That's right.
Kairos church ministry.
That in Angola, but
Yeah.
also I was a youth director for a while, and I planned a lot of mission trips. And one of the hardest thing about a mission trip is knowing where you're going to stay, where you're going to eat, and how you're going to connect with meaningful work. So the original idea of the Cajun Army was to provide that to people that weren't in our community that could come help.
Now, at that time, do you have any idea how many volunteers you were seeing from other places come in here?
You know, things moved. The first 3 weeks were full of 18-hour days. Things happened so fast that, I mean, we were onboarding people. We still have people working all over the country behind the scenes that I've never met.
Right.
And the application process was similar to, what's your name? What do you like to do? Okay, this is what you're going to do. You give them a 5-minute, you know, explanation, and boom, it just took off, and it's just crazy.
If you had 3,000, I think when I first asked you to be on the show, and that was only been into it maybe 3 weeks or 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, that's right. We have over 9,500 now.
Volunteers around the country. So people are doing telephone work for you, matching people's services, or calling people.
There are about 50 administrative people in the background. Where people have come from, we had a couple ride their bikes from Minnesota. Ride their bikes.
Now, do you have a board of directors yet for the Army, like they put in for the Navy?
We do. We have a board of directors.
What position are you?
I'm the president and CEO of the but also it's structured that the board can fire me whenever they want, because this isn't about power or position. It's about
money.
It's about money. It's about serving people.
Right.
So anyway, there are about 50 people in the background, but we've got people that are working from Alabama, Florida, Wisconsin, Texas, people coming from Connecticut. We had Greenpeace from California. We had
AmeriCorps was here, Samaritan Purse, of course Red Cross.
We've had a group out of Colorado called Burners Without Borders. You know, Colorado marijuana's legal.
Right.
So we kind of put that together. We'll take you. Come on.
Yeah, whatever. Come on high. We got something for you.
This week, the Connecticut militia. I mean, all kind of people. The Scientologist group, you know, Scientology group. Very humbling.
Yeah.
The people.
And when you have the heavy duty jobs, let's come over to Kip.
Sure.
Say again?
So Kip, when we have the heavy duty jobs that are too much for you to handle, and what do you do? What does the special forces do?
I spent 13 years in the disaster relief business. If you saw someone hanging from a crane 100+ feet in the air, I was that guy. And I've made a living in very dangerous industries my whole life.
Are you a risk taker, or it just happened to be that
No,
way?
it's just what I've always done. I enjoyed it. I love working outside. I've always been involved in lawn care, landscaping, tree cutting, dirt work, things of that nature. So for me, it just came natural. But the issue is, you have someone who's not accustomed to that. You send them up on a roof, and they don't know how to fill the roof, the construction, and you know, it's dangerous. So the way things worked out for us is.
Did you two know each other? You just met.
Just 4 weeks now, I guess.
Best friends now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have the same mission.
Yeah.
To help people.
Yeah. Yeah. When you get thrust into a situation like this with someone of the same accord and the same kindred spirit, it automatically builds a very tight bond that can't be broken.
Very quickly.
Yes,
like
ma'am.
You said, yeah.
Yeah.
So give me one example, to give the audience an example of what you've done, the most dangerous job so far you've done.
Haven't really done a whole bunch. I mean, this far in the game, we haven't had a bunch of real bad situations because it was just water that came up. I mean, some of the more dangerous stuff we've done is run 3 days with no sleep, hauling loads back and forth. Got on a few roofs, removed some limbs, swept a few roofs, get the water to keep it from going back under the shingles. But you know, we kind of do the stuff that most others don't have the equipment to do.
You got it in your business.
We've got dozers, tracos, all that stuff, and primarily for the Cajun Navy in the past few days, I've moved several machines for them, and you know, we got a couple of houses we're going to totally demolish to help other organizations.
I want to explain to the public too, the Cajun Navy started, as we talked about, in '05, but it's really a generic term for anybody who gets a boat pretty much and comes out and helps somebody.
That's right.
And the Cajun Army is going to be the same thing. Let me ask you, if something happened in Connecticut and you found out, are you all going to go help in other areas also, not just Louisiana?
It's in discussion.
We talked about that today.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
It would only be fair, right?
Well, we want to be able to share what we've learned with other people.
Right.
And of course, right now we have our own ongoing.
Yeah, I meant a couple of years from after, hopefully things
But
will settle.
we have had a nationwide software company offer to give us free a ticketing and a technology infrastructure to allow us to do what we do with a lot of technology, handheld GPS, and integration of needs and resources, and so the idea long term was that our administrative team could support a disaster from anywhere. The key is having boots on the ground in that community.
Right.
So we could easily partner with a grassroots organization and say,
like all the people you're talking about coming in.
Yeah, if somebody wanted to franchise and do what we do, and I use that not in a profiteering way, but if somebody wanted to do what we did, we could completely support them from anywhere.
What's your mission statement from your board?
So it's to match the needs in the community with those people and the resources to provide to fulfill those needs. So that's it. We're an information hub for people that want to help and people that have resources to offer. And
you've
to
been out
match
gutting
those
houses
people that
yourself.
need to help.
You two have gutted.
I actually gutted a house the first day, the day after I created that Facebook group, and since then it has been completely an administrative role for me. Now this guy has
because you've gotten
gutted a
so
lot
big.
of houses.
Yeah.
Well, no, and we laugh about that. I tell him.
Do you have the ability to gut?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
I don't like manual labor
I know.
too much.
Hey, when I was a little girl growing up, my daddy had cotton, and all the kids were out playing, chopping cotton. And I wanted to go chop cotton, and they had to tell me, do not come chop the weeds, right? I was chopping the cotton, so I wasn't ever made to chop cotton, chop weeds.
It's funny because my wife cuts the grass at my house for 20 years. I'm not ashamed to say that I don't like manual labor. I'm an office person. I'm a thinker. I'm a marketing guy. I'm a process guy.
Yeah, you went to LSU.
And so this is what I do for a living, and I lead people for a living. And so I knew that I would be more effective creating something. And I could impact a lot more people creating something but I do have the whole team now. When are you going to come gut with us? They all want to know. Matter of fact, somebody bet last night that
you're probably a running joke.
My business partner said, "I bet you $100 you can't get him to go gut a house." It's heavy on my heart, but I have been working a lot. I've been doing my own thing, but I don't. It is on my heart though. I need to get my butt out there and start getting in the tie.
But hey, you're supervising and you're the co-founder. Now, Heather, tell me your story and what do you think of the government response to this great storm? We talked about that with your mayor earlier today, and we know that they went to Washington and they're suing the Department of Transportation. The FEMA administrator did not even show up when the three mayors came from the worst hit parish, Livingston Parish in the state. And have you all seen anybody do anything besides volunteers here? What did the government do? We'd probably have 1,000 people dead if it hadn't been for you all. People like you all. I don't mean only you all.
Would you like to extend the session for this show? I'd be glad to get on that.
I'm sure you could tell me in 2 words.
It's shameful that people take a check on Thursday for a job they don't do. I'll leave it at that.
And what do they always say? Go work in the government and you can hide and you'll never get fired, right?
That's right.
Heather, let's tell the people about your experience.
Sure.
Heather works at Falk & Winkler. She's a CPA with an MBA, and she's from Gonzales originally. She's been going, your college was Southeastern for both your degrees, and she is in healthcare finance and public accounting. So, and you're very, very active in the society, Louisiana Society of CPAs. So,
yes, ma'am. So my family resides in Walker. We built in there in 2003, and that Friday morning, we got rain. Just like everyone else. My daughter luckily had spent the night at my parents' house, as she has done, but my 9-year-old son was with us. When we woke up, we were trapped in our home, which is not uncommon for where we live.
This is Saturday.
This is Friday morning.
This is Friday morning.
Because
I know when I left work Thursday, it was water all over. I couldn't hardly get home Thursday night.
Okay, so this was Friday, and so the streets into where I live were flooded, but my house was high. We have a high pad. We're built above flood elevation.
For 1983,
correct,
it was that storm at that time. Yeah.
Correct.
Now they're higher.
So we were fine, but I could not get out for work, so that day we watched the water rise, and rise well, but never threaten our home all Friday. My husband stayed up and monitored those water levels all Friday night, and when I got up Saturday morning, I could see in his face something was wrong, and I asked him what's wrong, and he said, we're going to flood. And so I said, okay, and when I looked out the window, the water was approaching.
You live in Three Lakes subdivision, if I remember.
I live in Three Lakes subdivision. The water was coming up the walkway near our house, and I said, Well, okay, now it's time to prepare. So he says, okay, well, I'll cut blocks and we'll start raising furniture. And at that time, I started putting everything that I could as high as I could. So mitigation.
General Honore was just here. We did a show on preparation.
Correct.
And I went and bought the Red Cross emergency basic kit. Because I had a kit that after Katrina, I put, I think the tuna fish was still 5 years old or something in there that I hadn't changed.
Right.
And the food in there, these little rations last, I think, for years. So it let me start realizing, you know, we need to have that kit where if you just need to get out, you can get out and run. Those emergency preparedness kits.
Correct.
Yeah.
So at that time, you know, everyone was pretty much communicating through Facebook.
Right.
So as I started to post, we believe we're going to flood, some neighbors who lived a little bit west of us had offered to bring sandbags via little bateau. So they brought sandbags to us. And at that time, we felt because sewage was beginning to back up.
Your mayor said that, I think the meteorologist alerted him earlier to tell him that there was something going on.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So at that time, they brought sandbags in and we boated my son out. So my husband and I stayed to protect the property, and we sent my son out by neighbors to my parents' house. And then at that point, we began to stick PVC pipe in the yard and start monitoring how fast the water was coming up and what increments. And then I guess about midday, we started watching the water drop, and we could see how fast it was dropping because we were able to monitor it. So from about noon until about 7 p.m., we dropped maybe a ½ an inch every hour, to where by 7:30,
That was quick, wasn't it?
7:30 we had kind of stopped raining and the water had receded, and all of the neighbors in 3 Lakes, we live close to I-12, we celebrated.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
Katrina.
It was
After
wonderful.
Katrina, everybody got out there ready to get a drink and celebrate because you thought you had
Correct.
missed the storm.
Correct. So at that point, you know, we celebrated, we made it. We post on Facebook, we're fine, we're going to make this storm, things look great. We settle in for a night, evening. I call my parents, tell them we're fine. And then all of a sudden we get this random phone call to my husband's cell phone from someone who lives about a mile west and says, do you still have our dog that you rescued? And my husband says, well, yes, it's at the neighbor's house. Well, can you take care of him because the water's rushing in? My husband says, well, rushing in, that doesn't make sense. It's fallen. No, it's rushing in. So I called another person who lived about a mile west, and they said, Heather, get out now. It's coming in fast. So
Because you live off I-12, just
I live
for the
close
audience
to
to know
I
what we
live
talked about.
close to I-12. So then we start
It's turned into a
networking.
dam.
We start networking with the neighbors around us, and they said, you know, that makes sense because in the back of the subdivision, they live very close to I-12. The water had already rose up to where it was that morning. And sure enough, my husband went outside, and the water was over where it was that morning.
Now let's
that
get,
quick.
where did you have to sleep that night?
So at that point, I told my husband, we got to go. We're going. It's coming in. We have to go. So we put on life jackets, got our luggage, went outside. At that point, the current flew a bateau in front of us. We hopped in.
Did you have a boat? No.
We had a raft.
You had a raft.
We were going to raft out about a mile to Winn-Dixie from our house. I prayed just like this gentleman
Right.
did. God, give me wisdom. Please don't let me drown. And when I hopped out of my house, a bateau flies through my front yard, which was stopped by a column. It slammed into a column, and my husband went and dragged it out. We jumped in with 3 other people that I met in my
Talking
neighborhood.
about quick response from up above, right?
He listens.
We've had it happen.
He
Yeah.
listens.
Yeah.
So at that point, we boat out. My father picks us up at Winn-Dixie. He lives about a ½ a mile south of the interstate, off of Walker South. It's nighttime at that time, and all we know is how quick the water rushed in at 3 Lakes.
Do you know why it was starting to come back? Which river was?
We did not know, other than the current had changed. It was not draining the way it was. It had come up from the back from I-12 and rushed in from the west. And so as we're south of interstate, we know it's flooding south of us because I have a relative that's down there. We know I-12 is blocked off. And all we know is
How
that.
did you feel, Heather? Did you feel like I'm trapped? I can't.
I will tell you the scene it reminds me of. If you ever watch the Titanic, and when the mother who is in the low cab kisses her children goodnight because she knows they are about to drown.
Right.
I am sitting at my parents' house, and I'm watching my 9 and 11-year-old, and I have to make a decision at that point. Do I go to sleep or do I stay up? I don't know where the water's. All I'm assuming is the water is about to rush in my parents also. So when I call 911, they direct me to 2 shelters, which are both north of the interstate. So we get in our vehicles.
We're gonna have to wrap it up very
We get in
quickly.
our vehicles to go north of the interstate. We can't. We're blocked. So at that point, we stay in our vehicles and we sleep on top of the interstate.
As you see the water rushing under. Is that the most afraid you've been in your life, I'm sure?
At that point, it was when you really go back to survival mode. It wasn't about I'm going to be inconvenienced on the top of the interstate.
Right.
It's about we're going to live.
Right.
And
And
it's
you knew you were
high.
going to live, so you were happy. I had asked Mayor Ramsey to bring something for you all. And it's one plaque here for the Cajun Navy, so I guess this goes to Sean Boudreaux.
Absolutely.
The City of Walker would like to thank the Cajun Navy for their time spent in the City of Walker. Their time and efforts is greatly appreciated. If you
I
would
will
give
make
that to
sure
him.
that that gets
and
to the right
each one of
people.
you all get a key to the city from
Wow.
in the name of the in the name of the
Wow.
mayor. I guess the most thing that you can
Wow.
say,
Wow.
this is what, I looked up the word hero, and a true hero is someone who steps in with courage under adversity. And each one of you all have done that and are continuing to do that. So I thank you, and Dianne Andrews in Black and White, and all our audience members, thank you around the state. Thank you for the job you've done.
Thank you all.
Been our honor.
We'll see you next week on Dianne Andrews in Black and White with another story.
Order your copies now of Dianne Andrews' latest books, Third Man Out, a suspenseful mystery by Dianne Andrews, and Gumbo for the Heart, 25 stories of faith, hope, and charity, both available now on Amazon.com.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a Formal Affair.
My name is Raven. I work at Debbie's Bridal, and she makes your dreams come true.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
At Gibson's Mobile Enterprises, you will experience high-quality mobile pressure cleaning services on your commercial buildings, fleet, residential, vehicles, RVs, boats, windows, and all types of concrete services. We are licensed and insured on all our services and have been in business for over 12 years.
Gibson's Mobile Enterprises. Find us on the web or call us today at 773-1476.
We are Gibson's Mobile Enterprises, where there's no limit to what can be clean.